Karl Marx and the Grundrisse saw something far deeper in the mechanical loom than just productivity. He saw the general intellect, the accumulated knowledge, science, and cooperative power of a species encoded into the tools it builds. The machine, to Marx, wasn't just capital's servant. It was the embryonic form of a new world. If the machine was placed in the hands of the many, it could abolish toil. Not by accident, but by design. It could compress the realm of necessity and expand the realm of freedom. That was the hope. But we don't live in that world. Not yet. Instead, we've inherited the tools of liberation inside a system that treats them like weapons. Automation didn't arrive to free us. It arrived shackled, bound to private property, bound to surveillance, bound to markets that do not ask what is possible, only what is profitable. And as that logic spreads through every industry and sector, it's not the working class that emerges. It's the useless class. A term made infamous by Yuval Harari, who imagines a future where billions of people have no economic role, no function, no place. And in a capitalist framework, he's not wrong. That's the point. Capitalism doesn't need you. It never did. It only tolerates your existence so long as your labor can be priced and sold. Once machines outperform you, your utility ends, and with it, your right to live. This is the nightmare, not of automation, but of its ownership. The irony, of course, is that we could already be living differently. The science exists. The machines exist. We could reduce global working hours to 4 per day and still maintain, no, improve quality of life. We could turn wage labor into a footnote of history, but we haven't. Why? Because the goal of this system is not freedom. It is not the dignity of self-actualization. It is not the cultivation of the human soul or the realization of the Enlightenment dream. It is profit, and profit has no morality. It has no conscience. It doesn't care if you suffer. It doesn't care if you're redundant. If you're not profitable, you're disposable. Harari calls this the rise of the useless class, but the framing is rotten. It accepts the logic of capital as if it were natural law. It assumes that if you can't sell your labor, you are useless. It assumes that your value must be externally assigned by a boss, a market, or an algorithm. And that is the most dangerous lie of the 21st century. Under Enlightenment socialism, there is no useless class, because usefulness isn't defined by profit. It's defined by potential, the capacity to become. In a system built on becoming, every human life is sacred, not in some vague spiritual sense, but because every person contains an unrepeatable configuration of thought, experience, and possibility. And automation doesn't diminish that. It unlocks it. Think of what becomes possible when no one has to spend 40 hours a week breaking their body just to survive, when you no longer have to trade your soul for a paycheck. Automation, in the right hands, doesn't kill jobs. It kills wage slavery. It ends the tyranny of the time clock. It creates the foundation for a sovereign life, one where the basic conditions of existence, food, shelter, healthcare, knowledge, are not rewards for obedience, but entitlements of birth. Because you are a person. That's enough. What we are facing now is not a technological crisis. It is a political one. The machines aren't the enemy. They're neutral. They do what they're built to do. The question is, who builds them? Who owns them? What are they optimized for? Because right now, they are optimized to extract, to monitor, to accelerate inequality under the veneer of progress. But that is a choice, and we can choose differently. This is the fork in the road, not a question of will the machines take our jobs, but what kind of civilization are we building? One where humans are replaced, or one where humans are finally freed? There is no destiny in this. There is only design. There is only intent. The Enlightenment began with the radical notion that human beings could govern themselves, that we could throw off the chains of kings and priests and live by reason, liberty, and consent. Enlightenment socialism takes that same principle and applies it to the material base. It demands that we, the people, own the general intellect, that the fruits of collective knowledge, of science, of automation, serve all of us, not just the oligarchs who hoard the patents and the profits. Because the end goal is not to stop working. The end goal is to stop working for survival, to work instead for purpose, for mastery, for joy, for contribution, for becoming. That's what this is about. Not utopia, not fantasy, but the most grounded, radical demand imaginable. That we stop designing a world that needs suffering to function. That we stop building machines to replace workers while still requiring people to work just to live. That we finally align our technical capacity with our moral maturity. We already have the tools. The question is, do we have the will? Automation isn't the end of work. It's the beginning of freedom. If we build the world to make it so.